Hey everyone, how y'all doing? Welcome back to my channel and welcome to a new writing vlog. So if you missed the last writing vlog, I will link down below the playlist for all of my writing vlogs for this year so that you can kind of catch up a little bit before we get into this one. But in the last vlog, I was preparing to do draft 4 of my novel What You Mean to Me. It's a YA contemporary romance inspired by the Disney Channel movie Starstruck. It's a lot of fun and I'm really excited to work on draft 4. So I was preparing, going through all of the beta reader feedback, doing some world building, just preparing to do these revisions, and I am ready. I am finally ready to jump into draft 4 and I am so excited. It's currently May 24th, so we're cutting it a lot closer to the end of the month than I wanted to, but there was just a bit more prep that I needed to do that I wasn't anticipating. I wasn't thinking about doing world building, even though that should have been done drafts ago, so that took up some time that I wasn't anticipating. And I'm also still waiting on a beta reader to finish reading the book, so I'm really just focusing on Act 1 at the moment, and then I'll get to the other acts as my beta reader gets through them. So I actually did some more last minute prep last night, because in the last vlog I wrote out on like some pieces of paper kind of everything that I needed to do for draft 4 starting with Act 1, but it was kind of just like a mess of all the notes that were left in the Google Doc and then other notes that they sent me after they read the book, and it just wasn't very organized. And the whole kind of vibe that I want going into this revision is ultra organization. I want to be really organized and I want this to be a really good draft. I don't want to miss anything, I don't want to forget anything, and I just want to be really proud of it by the end. So I ended up taking those notes and also reading through Act 1 and dividing everything into chapters. So I now have a bullet point list of everything that I need to revise in any given chapter. So we're really going to be focusing this one chapter at a time and just really breaking it all down. I'm going to be making sure to address any typos that my beta readers pointed out, because there were a few. It's always amazing to me how many drafts typos can survive, so I'm very excited for this. Also very nervous, but I think this is the point of revisions that I typically enjoy the most, when we're a bit later into the process, things are kind of more figured out and we're just kind of fixing things a little bit. It's not too heavy-handed, but it's still like, I don't know, I really like this part of the revisions where the book starts to feel a bit more like the product or the idea that you have of it in your head. So I'm really excited to get into this. I really enjoyed doing this little chapter by chapter breakdown, and I definitely want to continue to do it for later drafts. So I'm gonna dive right on in. I think the way that I want to go about doing this, normally when I do revisions I like just retype everything. I don't know if I want to do that this time. Okay, I think for chapter 1 I'll try either retyping it or copying and pasting paragraph by paragraph. I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna try one of my many different ways that I revise my books, and we'll see which one feels the most natural for this draft. But yeah, I'm very excited. I think I want to get through at least the first 2 chapters of the book today, because chapter 3 we are changing more things. Like, just by looking at chapter 1 and chapter 2, like this whole page is just the first 2 chapters. It looks like a lot, but they're just like little like quick mentions mainly. Whereas chapter 3, one of my beta readers suggested cutting a scene, actually technically cutting 2 scenes, like cutting one scene and then cutting the intro to another scene, just to kind of pick up the pacing a little bit, which means that I need to figure out how to like move certain parts from those scenes that I'll be cutting and integrate them into like the new version of the scene. And then it will also require a little bit of rewriting to make it make sense with what we are trying to do now with the scene. So I don't know if I'm up for that today, but I'm definitely up for doing the first 2 chapters. I also need to do some video editing that I totally meant to do yesterday and I forgot about, so I'm gonna need to do some of that today. But yeah, let's just dive right on in. I'm very excited. Okay, so I finished the first 2 chapters of draft 4. The way that I ended up doing it was I just copied and pasted the whole book into a new document, and I'm just rereading over everything, glancing at my notes to make sure that I'm not missing anything, and occasionally like rewriting some sentences by like going to the next line and just rewriting it and then deleting the one that I don't like anymore. And that seems to be working so far. If I have like a bigger scene that I need to like add in, or like a bigger thing that I need to fix, I will then just open like a new document, write it in there real quick, and then copy and paste it over just to avoid some confusion from my little brain here. But so far this seems to be working for me. I like the changes that I've made in the 2 chapters. It did take me a bit longer to do than I was anticipating, so I don't think I have it in me to do chapter 3 today, just because that one, like I said earlier, is a bit more of a hefty chapter. I'm changing more things in that chapter just to kind of fix the pacing a little bit, and I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be good. I just don't think I have it in me to do it today. It's going to take a lot of brain power that I just don't think I currently have. But I did address everything in the first 2 chapters. I did typos and changed other things, added details. I'm feeling pretty good about it. So now I think for the rest of the day, I'm going to do some reading. I've got some reading I need to do, but I also need to edit a reading vlog that I was supposed to edit yesterday. So I'm going to start editing that. It's not going to get all done today. I'll have to finish it tomorrow. But I'm feeling good about my progress so far for the day. Really happy that I was able to use this spread. It made me really happy to be filling in those little squares again. If you guys need some motivation, I definitely recommend some sort of tracker while you are writing. If it's revising, I recommend this chapter tracker, and if you are drafting, then a word count tracker. It's just, there's nothing like it. It's so satisfying, and it really does motivate me because I just want to fill in the little squares, or I want to write in my word count, and it's a lot of fun. I did add in quite a few words actually into the draft. If I were to compare, because right now the book is sitting at almost 70,000 words, but it's not quite there yet. It's currently at 69,772, and draft 3 was at 69,396. I added 376 words. Not a whole lot, but because I am adding more things throughout the book, maybe I can get to 70,000. I don't know. I just remember that I am cutting a big chunk out of chapter 3. I don't know. I really would be more satisfied to have the book be at 70,000 words. That just feels more satisfying to me than 69,000. So anyway, we're gonna see how the cookie crumbles, because I'm gonna be adding things, taking things out. It's gonna be a whole thing. It might just end up being around the same as it was for draft 3. We'll have to see. But my camera's dying. I need to go edit that video. But I feel good. I'm really happy with the work that I did today. Okay, so it's now Monday. I wanted to write over the weekend, but honestly, I was avoiding working on chapter 3 of Whim Tim. I also just in general had quite a lazy weekend. I didn't do a whole lot of productive things, but that's fine. Everyone needs a little bit of a rest moment. You know, I think I watched 4 movies yesterday. It was wild. So my intention for today was to sit down and solely work on chapter 3, which is this big chapter that I need to kind of reshape a little bit. We're cutting a scene out from the beginning and kind of changing the second scene in the chapter to kind of happen a bit quicker, and I've been very scared of this chapter since I planned out these revisions, because it's a big change, one of the bigger changes I feel like throughout the entire book, and it also kind of requires a lot of reshuffling, but it requires me like figuring out what lines I can save for later in the book, and also figuring out a way to save some lines from the original scene into this new scene, and how I can kind of rework them to fit, because I really like the purpose that they serve. They just can't happen in the new iteration of the scene. But it's also going to require killing some darlings, some lines that I do like that just aren't going to work at all. So that was the intention for today. But I sat down, you know, started working on it. I pulled up a new document so I could kind of draft out the scene separately from the rest of the draft, and quickly realized that I have no idea how to go about doing this scene, and I don't know if I feel fully right about it, but it's hard to figure out if that's because it's just really difficult and I don't want to do it, so I'm making up excuses to not have to do it, or if it really is better doing it the way that I originally did it, but with maybe some modifications, like maybe just cutting out some lines to kind of quicken the pacing a little bit. You know, I don't know what my gut is telling me right now and if I can trust my gut in this moment. So I reached out to one of my other beta readers to ask for their opinion, and I'm still waiting for a response. I was working on it, but I decided while waiting for my other beta reader to respond to me and just to give myself some time to further think about it, I decided to move on to work on different chapters. So I had to skip chapter 4 as well because it links to chapter 3, like it's a continuation of what happens in chapter 3. So I don't want to work on that chapter just in case things change and I have to like rework it again. So I just decided to skip it entirely. So I worked on chapters 5 and 6. Chapter 5 really didn't have that much to fix. I just kind of wanted to add a better description, or at least a couple more descriptions of a certain character that we meet for the first time. Still don't know if I did a superb job at that. Descriptions is definitely one of my weak points, but I also just like rewrote a couple of things, rephrased a couple of things, and I felt good about that. And then I did chapter 6, which did have quite a few more revisions to do, but not like huge things. It was basically just a couple of like lines to delete or to, you know, clarify some things, but also adding more internal thoughts for my main character Maisie, because it's a quite emotional and heavy scene for her. So I had to kind of infuse some more of her thoughts into the scene, which I think I did okay at. I'm sure I could potentially add a couple of more, but right now I'm feeling good about it. I also kind of added in a quick flashback moment, not in the sense of how it kind of appears in the rest of the book, because she doesn't really want to linger on this thing. So I kind of just put in like a callback to the flashback that I could potentially put in full later on. Might go back and change that a little bit, but again, for right now, I feel like it served its purpose and I'm proud of it. I also went back through the first 2 chapters and just kind of made a couple of adjustments in terms of like dialogue tags and stuff, deleting some like unnecessary like he said she said, just because I felt like they weren't necessary. Like you knew who was talking and we just needed like their actual action instead of like he said kind of vibes. So I just went back and did that, and that is something that I'm going to try to look out for as I continue revising, because I just don't want any unnecessary dialogue takes that just don't need to be there, you know? So I don't really know what I want to do now. Do I want to move on to chapter 7? Yeah, chapter 7 does not have a lot of revisions, so maybe I'll work on chapter 7 a little bit. But yeah, so far I'm liking how things are shaping up. I need to figure out what I'm doing with chapter 3. Next day now. I did not end up going back to writing yesterday. Did I say I was going to? But I did not go back to writing yesterday. I ended up, what did I even do yesterday? I was planning my bullet journal spreads for June, and then I started sketching them out. But it's a new day. My other beta reader got back to me about chapter 3, and I think I'm moving forward with keeping it relatively the same as it was, but trying to trim it down a little bit. I'm still gonna cut out that first scene in chapter 3, and I'm either going to retell it in narrative so that it still happened, we just don't see it happening, which I feel like could work, and then trimming down the next scene so that we can get to the action a bit faster, but still keeping the integrity of the scene there, because honestly I was struggling so hard with it yesterday and it just wasn't feeling right. No matter what I did, it just wasn't clicking, and I really felt like there was a lot of integral character moments in this scene that I just didn't know if I'd be able to salvage and show in the same way if I were to make these suggested edits to the scene. So while I totally understand the suggestion and I obviously appreciate it, I think I've got to go with my gut on this one. And you know, you don't always have to take beta reader suggestions. At the end of the day, it is up to you and like what you feel as the writer is right for the book. And I just feel like for my main character Maisie's character, I just feel like the scenes that we get, or like the lines that we get in that scene, are so integral to her as a person, and we don't have a lot of opportunity later on in the book to show this specific thing. Basically, Maisie is a concert photographer, and this is like really the only scene in the book where we get to actually see her be a concert photographer. There isn't really another true concert scene until the end of the book, and at that point we're not really focused on the actual logistics of concert photography. So I feel like this is really the moment where I can show her doing what she loves to do and showing how committed she is to it, how passionate she is about it, and how important it is to her as a character, considering it's so intrinsically tied with the stakes of the book. And then there's like other little character moments and things that relate to her and Christopher, the love interest and other main character. I feel like it really shows the dynamic that even though they've been broken up for over a year at this point of the book, it shows that like she still cares and is still like looking out for him and stuff like that, which I think is also really important. So the goal for today is to jump back to chapter 3 and try to just trim it down a little bit, try to make it work in a way that maybe it's not fully working right now, just to kind of get to the action faster. I'm excited about it. We're gonna see. Maybe I can keep some things that I included yesterday in the scene that I was rewriting. Maybe there's a way to like merge the two ideas. I think I have some ideas percolating for how to go about doing this. So hopefully this goes better than yesterday and I can actually finish this chapter, because I don't love seeing these two blank chapters right here that are not colored in. Okay, so I just finished chapter 3, as you guys saw me color in the little square, and I think it's better. I added in a few lines, I cut some stuff. Obviously I cut that whole scene from the beginning of the chapter, and I cut enough that like I had hit 70,000 words in the draft, and now it's at 69,150. So cut quite a bit, so I hope that it did something, but I think it's good for now. I will eventually read over it just to make sure that it's good, but I feel like the pacing is a bit faster. I don't know, I'm happy with it. Hesitantly. But I'm now going to move on to chapter 4, which is just a continuation of that scene from chapter 3. Okay, so in general there was just a typo in that chapter and then more descriptions, because it was lacking in some descriptions, and that was just a note of my own. Nobody said that, but I feel that it's lacking in descriptions. I might just double check in the Google Doc that my beta readers were reading in, just to double check chapter 3 quickly to make sure I didn't miss any extra notes that they had. Don't think that I did, but I've just kind of been going back and forth between my document, my notes, and the Google Doc. So I think I'm just going to quickly look at that before I move on to chapter 4. But then I'm going to do chapter 4, do the small amount of edits to it, and then I think I can go back to chapter 8. Yeah, and that one I am gonna have to do some consistency checks, since I now have kind of like cut the scene. I did find a way to put the scene that I cut in like a little narrative thing, just like very bare bones, so I think I will still be able to use some lines from that scene and put them in this next one in chapter 8. So we're gonna see what we can do. You know, we're gonna play around. That's kind of what revisions are, you know, just playing around, seeing what works or what doesn't. But yeah, I'm just really glad that I got that chapter finished. So we're moving on to chapter 4. finished chapters 8 and 9. I've done 4 chapters today, and I think I'm gonna call it because I looked at my notes for chapter 10 and there's a lot of notes, so I think I'm just gonna call it. I do have other things that I would like to do today, mainly finish my bullet journal spread planning so I can film that video this week. But I'm really happy with the work that I did today. I feel productive, I feel excited about this draft, and I also feel like I'm finding my flow with these vlogs again, which is making me so happy. You guys don't even know how much I've missed doing these vlogs consistently, filming the nice little b-roll clips. I'm feeling really good about all of this right now, so oh, that makes me so happy. Okay, so it's the next day. I just finished doing chapter 10, and honestly my plan for today was to just do chapter 10 because it did involve adding more things than other chapters, and so I thought that it was going to take longer than the other chapters, and I honestly have to do a lot of video editing today. I've been editing my Six of Crows reading vlog for a long time now, just like here and there. It's a super long vlog, and I just need to commit to just sitting down and doing it because I need it to go up this week. It's already up as you're watching this, so go check it out if you haven't yet already. But honestly, like, I know that I need to focus mainly on that today and then finish it up tomorrow. So my plan was to just do chapter 10. So I'm looking at my notes for chapter 11 and chapter 12, and they're not too crazy. They're pretty tame, pretty short, and I honestly don't think it's gonna take me that long to do them. It's currently 2:14 p.m. so I still have many hours in my day. So really, I can probably do these next 2 chapters in the next hour and still have plenty of time to do video editing today. I also would like to get some reading done today, but it's not as imperative because I finished the book that I wanted to finish today yesterday. So I think this is gonna work. I think this is gonna be fine. I'm gonna finish Act 1 today because chapter 12 is the end of Act 1. That's wild. And then I can start brainstorming for the Act 2 revisions, which is really exciting. Okay, I've decided I'm doing chapters 11 and 12, finishing Act 1 today. Let's do it. Brings us to the end of Act 1 of Whim Tim Draft 4. My goodness, I really was not expecting to finish this draft today, but here we are, 12 chapters done. I am so excited. Like, I'm feeling relatively good about this draft so far, I think. Yeah, I've implemented all of the changes. I honestly don't know why I don't normally plan out my revisions this way, just writing out a list of things I need to do chapter by chapter, but it's so nice. It's so organized, and like I feel like I've just unlocked something. I don't know, like, future Brittany, remember to do this every time you revise a book because it's been so helpful. Because normally I'm just like forgetting everything that I need to do, but it's in order in a bullet point list separated by chapters. It's perfect. But I'm feeling so excited. I cannot believe that I just cannot believe that we're here. Things are going along swimmingly. I'm excited. I'm gonna hold on to this feeling because I don't normally feel good about things, so I'm feeling pretty good. But I planned to end this vlog when I reach the end of Act 1, so that means that we've made it to the end of this vlog. I hope you guys enjoyed this vlog. If you did, make sure to give it a huge thumbs up. That really helps me out. Also, comment down below and let me know what you've been up to writing wise recently. I would really love to know. Also, maybe let me know your favorite part of the writing process. Mine typically is whatever I am not currently working on, or in general it's revisions. Make sure to subscribe down below if you have not yet already. I'm feeling myself coming back to my writing vlog roots, you know? Like, I feel like I'm on track now. I'm going to try to keep these writing vlogs consistent for you guys because I'm having a good time with them again, which is making me really happy. So make sure to subscribe if you have not yet already. That would really help me out, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!